the 06010. Focus, fantasy focus.
What's good, friends, and welcome into Fantasy Focus Football alongside Field Yates. And today, Mike Clay, my name is Daniel Dopp, here for a Wednesday. How you guys doing?
Doing awesome. I'm recharged. Mike was talking about how late he went to bed last night, and I was like, I'm just going to put it at this. I went to bed a little earlier.
Oh, slightly earlier than I did? All right, so you should have way more energy than me because I was up late.
Way more energy. And Fields, you look very dapper today. Very nice.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
I asked you why you looked so dressed up, and you said normally you change because you've got other things you've got to do throughout the day. Like once you get done, right? But you were like, this morning it was just too chilly for me to wear a T-shirt. And I looked at the weather, and it's 68 degrees outside.
What's wrong with 68?
What's wrong with your body that you
going
can't
into
handle
the
68 degrees and a
Is it
T-shirt?
really? A little rain.
Yeah.
It just seems cooler because
does,
it's overcast.
Did you leave earlier today when it wasn't 68? Maybe that's what it was.
Well, it's going to rain all day. And also, notably, my kids wake up at like butt crack of dawn.
That's fair.
So when we get up in the morning and they want to go outside to let the dog out, it's often quite cool. Even when it's middle of July, it's sometimes a little brisk.
It is.
When it's late September, it is definitely brisk. So yes, I digress, but I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt, on the show.
Well, you
Cut me
look
some
sharp.
slack, will you? Thank you.
I will say this.
Take that.
I think I'm just going to start dressing really formally for Fantasy Focus now.
You think so?
Shirt and tie every day.
That's kind of the
I'm gonna
vibe
go
of the show,
opposite.
right? Yeah.
We'll go the opposite.
Yeah,
Mine's coming
I'm
naked.
trying to move more toward Daniel.
I
away
like
from
it.
Field, so.
Just T-shirts and jeans, and we'll be good to
I
go.
see some
take
band
over that
logos
seat
on
now.
here, and I'm set.
That's
We're in
right.
business.
Actually, letting a dog out. You just mentioned this, and I'll move on after this. We got a lot of football we're going to talk about.
Week 4.
A bunch
Get
of
you ready,
puzzling
baby.
players for our rankings. We're going to do keep, bench, cut. We're going to do fielding some concerns, as well as maybe a mailbag. So we got a lot of fun stuff. There's nothing worse, though, than waking up in the morning and having your dog just be like, I need to go outside, but it is soaking wet because you know that first thing in the morning when they come back in, I've got to do a full towel down.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes it takes a lot longer than others.
It's not fun.
It's not.
fun. And yeah.
Anyways.
It's often cold. Smells sometimes. My dog
does.
always smells when he comes back wet. Yeah, it's not ideal. My dog also he's a golden retriever. He's extremely dirty. He already drops enough fur around the house.
Oh, yeah.
Double that with the mud. Not ideal. Anyways,
ideal.
football.
All right, let's talk about a couple of football things. But first and foremost, shout out to our friends over at Trophy Smack. Use the promo code FOCUS10 at TrophySmack.com to be able to get some great stuff over there for your league.
Alrighty.
Let's dive into the most puzzling players to rank in Week 4. We each brought a handful to the table. Field, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of a curveball to start because where we're ranking him isn't necessarily that much lower than where he normally is, if lower at all.
Look at me.
To begin the season, Mike is already puzzled, but I want to have a bit of a conversation about this player. It's Brock Bowers to start, right? So what's it going to fall down to? Like
right.
at the worst, tight end 2, 3, maybe in your rankings, right?
Yeah, he plummeted from 1 to 2.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
ranks.
So it's not so much to me, it's hard to figure out where Brock Bowers deserves to be in the tight end hierarchy. It's more that we are already wondering whether Brock Bowers being drafted at a premium was a mistake, because part of the reasons that we discussed for drafting Brock Bowers extremely high after 112 catches last season is the idea that him and Trey McBride could easily outpace the rest of the tight end field, right? So if you're going to pay a big price for these players, they need to be worth the gap between the costs you could have used on a Sam Laporta, Tucker Kraft, Juwan Johnson, for like the 4 people that knew that Juwan Johnson was going to have a zillion targets in 3 games. And he hasn't been that so far. And I think we can attribute a lot of this to he's got to be hurt. He's hurt. I mean, he's playing with this knee injury that he suffered late in week 1 against the Patriots. We had over 100 receiving yards on just 5 catches. The past 2 games have not been as dominant for Brock Bowers. The target share is fine. The total target number is fine. Again, you're not going to bench Brock Bowers. It's more so, how long is this going to linger? Is this going to be something that nags for half a season? Because we get a half season worth of just okay Brock Bowers, the truth will be that using a 2nd or 3rd round pick was bad business.
Yeah, I'm with you. I will say this: his route participation last week was 88%. So when they're throwing the football, he's on the field. And I was a little nervous in the first quarter in week 1 when he was being outsnapped by Michael Mayer. That switched quickly, and then he kind of got rolling in the second half, ended up with 8 targets in that game, over 100
Mayer's
yards.
hurt now,
and then
too.
got hurt.
Yep.
Yeah, and now Mayer's hurt. You're right. So you're right. It really is just the whole thing. I don't think we made a mistake drafting him where we took him. you can't predict injuries for the most part.
I know.
So
Yeah.
as long as he gets back healthy, it'll pay off. But you're right. I mean, looking at it as from an outcome perspective, yeah. I mean, if he's not healthy, it's going to be a problem.
So going into the season, Mike, I'm very process oriented, right? But once we actually play the games, I'm very results oriented. So maybe it was a mistake drafting him as high as we did.
Well, that's not how you.
That's not how it works.
That's not how
Yeah.
it works.
Yes, it is.
Process
Mike.
over results. No,
No, Mike. You mean Mr. Pragmatic over
That's
there.
right.
Me with Brock Bowers on a couple of teams.
No.
That, I drafted. There's a league I play in. I think I've mentioned this to you guys off the show, but there's a league I play in where we do a weekly spin the wheel for a punishment. It's they're just slightly more aggressive.
We do that on.
You're talking about our show, or you're talking about a different show?
Slightly more aggressive than the
Okay.
starts of the week that we're
Okay.
going to spin the wheel on later on this week. So you really don't want to have that punishment hit you. And I drafted in the first 3 rounds Justin Jefferson, Brock Bowers, and Josh Allen, thinking that what I could do was basically secure a high floor every week because I had maybe tight end 1, maybe wide receiver 1, and maybe
Playing
quarterback 1.
Yep.
Field admitting to playing scared.
Yeah.
He doesn't care if he finishes 11th out of 12 as long as he's not 12th.
Oh, it's 14 teams. Yes, as long as I'm not 14th out of 14, I'm good. Yes, in a given week.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's been frustrating. So I just
Have
wanted
you
to
been
know.
punished yet?
I have not. No.
Oh, okay. All right. Hanging in there.
But my team was 0-3, so it still stinks. But the whole like draft Isaiah Pacheco plan in that league hasn't worked out for me.
Even.
But I will just say this: is Brock again? He's not any lower than tight end 2, I believe, in anybody's rankings this week, especially because no one's emerged that you're saying to yourself, hey, this guy's soared so high. Sam Laporta is just crushing it for the Lions or whoever it might be. That being said, it has been a disappointing 2 games in back-to-back weeks for Brock Bowers.
No doubt.
Sure has been. All right, Mike, you're up next.
Mine. Avert your eyes and ears, Daniel Dopp.
Oh,
Chase
no.
Brown. Chase Brown's a
Oh,
tricky
it's
one
been
right now.
awful.
It is, yeah.
Especially with this. We're going to talk about this a lot over the next few days and Sunday on FF Now. The running back 2 range right now is just loaded. It's so hard to distinguish between like 13 and honestly, you can go almost to 30 because that's like where someone like Travis Etienne is.
Right? Can I ask, when you say loaded, do you mean that like in a positive way, or we have
Mix
like
of
a
both.
lot of options?
Mix of both, because you have guys that have fallen into that tier,
Descended,
like Ashton Genty and Chase Brown, obviously. And then you have ascenders due to injuries, like a Trey Benson, for example, Cam Scatabo, Etienne's, I would say, on the back end of that conversation. But it's tough to sort these guys out. And that's what makes Chase Brown tricky, because you could say, all right, this guy is playing 2/3 of the snaps. He's handled 80% of their called runs so far this season. He rested. They rotated a little bit on Sunday, but he did play 24 of the first 37 snaps. So he's still the feature back in this offense. We know he has pass catching skills. But on the other hand, he's the 1 touchdown earlier this season. He has 93 yards.
Drive, by the way.
Yeah, 2 yards per carry on the season, 43 yards on 11 targets. So that's been awful as well. Also a good matchup this week against Denver. Back-to-back terrible games against the run. Jonathan Taylor 2 weeks ago, and Marion Hampton at 24 points this past week. So there's some pluses, there's some minuses, but then you're trying to figure out, do you rank him on the high end of this running back 2 group as like RB 15 or something? Or you can easily, you just move him down a little bit. You could sink him all the way down to 27, and then he's not even startable.
Look at this guy.
There's just so many.
Where do I have him?
Oh, running back 27. That's where Fields got him at.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
Exactly right. So there's.
Did you not look at the screen before you said that?
I did not.
Okay.
It's total coincidence.
Felt like you were
I'm
throwing a shot.
visualizing the rankings. It's such a wide gap, and this applies to Trey Benson and Jordan Mason and all these guys. I mean, I saw a lot of people, like I saw the reaction on social, which was like, Jordan Mason, after what we saw on Sunday, clearly in the fringe RB1 conversation or good RB2. Trey Benson, same kind of thing. Cam Scatabo, same kind of thing. I'm like, I don't know. Like, you need it all to be up there in the front end of the RB2. You have to have a pass catching role and a rushing role and potential goal line work, because it's so crowded right now.
Yeah.
So Chase Brown I think you can make a case to not start him.
Can I give you guys both like a baby name game right here? Because you've hit on a lot of them.
But again,
So,
this is good. This is what I'm talking about. I don't know. Like, this is that's the story of the week, I feel like.
so like that's like just knee jerk reaction, not
Sure.
like, hey, oh
Okay.
my God, like my very nuanced take, you must do that versus
Okay.
this.
All right.
Because I believe the way in which Chase Brown would be out of your lineup, because when he's on the fringe of being a top 20 running back, then that's the conversation you're having. Start him or not start him.
Mm-hmm.
The way that in which Chase Brown is not in your lineup is you drafted a solid second running back. Just whatever. You have Alvin Kamara, who hasn't been perfect, but somebody in that like.
Of course, you probably
whatever.
have two top 20 running backs. Most
You have you also drafted Bucky Irving or something, right? And you're continuing to start Bucky. And then you kind of either got lucky or nailed a draft pick, or in nailing a draft pick, or somebody got hurt, and that has led to your third running back being in the next category.
And there's a lot of those. There's a lot of those.
Yeah, there are.
Saying.
So let's just quickly, like, if I'll give you the name of the player, you can choose this player, or you can have Chase Brown.
Okay.
Ready? Javonte Williams.
This week against Green Bay, I'd rather have Chase Brown.
Yeah, I have them like back to back, but yeah, Chase Brown.
Okay. Cam Scatterbo.
I think I'd have Cam Scatterbo.
Yeah.
Trey Benson.
No Tracy there. Benson, I have Chase like 2 spots ahead. I know I do. So.
I think I would have Chase Brown still, but it's like I wouldn't be shocked if I changed that heading into next week.
Yeah, these guys are all toss up.
J.K. Dobbins.
I'm going Dobbins.
Okay.
I think I would
big rushing workload.
Yeah, I think I would do Dobbins as well. It's clearly his backfield.
So there's four options that just I think are reasonable names that you could have as your third running back that might now be your RB2 if you want to put Chase Brown in the timeout.
It's kind of like, we sometimes joke about like fringe tight end one or flex option. There's like an enormous amount of them, and there's so many like solid RB2s right now. Yeah. So and we have to rank them. We have to pick through these guys, and I'm telling you, we at some point we should just list them off, because I didn't even mention like Quinshon Judkins. Like I can go on and
That's
on.
That's another good one I could have.
From like 12th to 30. I'm not joking. It's like all the same guy.
And this is a situation you talk about being able to get passing game work. You talk about being able to get goal line work. Nobody has more carries inside the 5-yard line this year than Chase Brown. It's just that he had like 5 of them all in a row because he didn't
on the
convert.
First drive.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, he was getting some of the goal line work. Only 11 targets, I think, through the first 3 games. That's not going to make things easier. And doesn't it just feel like defenses are just going to have an easier time with the Bengals now, with Joe Burrow being under center?
Yeah.
Like it
Too
really
high
does not.
is going to go away when Joe Burrow is not playing. So I think that the headline here is not yet a clear-cut bench, but in the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, I just want to say this. He does have like I just said, outstanding matchup this week. This is going to be a big test, because I feel like if they can't move the ball on the ground, they're probably like, we needed something else. Because I don't think it's Samaje Perine. I don't think it's Taj Brooks. They might have to look elsewhere.
The 2 guys that got them pretty good over the past 2 weeks are such dissimilar players to Chase Brown, right?
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor and Amari Hampton are like... Those guys are wagons. Chase Brown is like a sports car, right? Like, so I'm not so sure the Bengals rushing attack is set up to succeed like the Colts and the Broncos were.
If you had
the Chargers, excuse me.
Say that Cam Scatterbo was a kind of vehicle, which kind of car would you think?
It would be like a pickup truck that's got
like
a lot of miles on it, right?
That's fair. Yeah,
a lot of miles on it, or like a tractor.
I think that's where we're at. So you had mentioned, as a part of this RB2 conversation, Cam Scatterbo, he's one of the guys that I think is really difficult for me to rank as well this week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a lot of constants in the equation, and that's part of this, right? Obviously, no Tyrone Tracy, so he's going to take over that backfield by himself. But we also had a quarterback change. Yeah. Jackson Dart is going to be the starting quarterback now. I wonder what that's just going to do in general to the Giants' offense. So I look at what Cam Scatterbo has done week 2. 13.9 fantasy points, got in the end zone, had a couple of catches. Week 3, 24 fantasy points, 10 for 60 and a touchdown, plus 6 catches for 61 yards. It feels like the positive is he's going to get the goal line work. He's the only Giants running back with any carries inside the 5-yard line. If they get down to the goal line, that's a big if right now.
They might now. I mean, if Dart's the real deal, they might get there more often.
Fingers crossed. That's what we're hoping for, right? So he's also going to be a pass catcher. We know that he's a good pass catcher out of the backfield, and he's going to get the opportunity. So I love all of those positives. That feels great, especially with the glut of like RB2s that we have a hard time distinguishing in the middle.
Sure.
The negatives for me are the matchup. Don't love the matchup against the Chargers.
Yeah.
They've been okay. They haven't played like a ton of great running backs, but they played the Chiefs. Chiefs running backs, I don't even know how to judge what the Chiefs running backs are anymore.
They're not good.
They played Ashton Genty, and either they shut down Ashton Genty or Genty might not be what we thought he was to start the season because that Raiders offensive line. And then he played J.K. Dobbins, and like the Chargers did pretty well against Dobbins. So it's
Dobbins got going in the second half with that long run.
Sure. Yes. Yep. But there is this with this matchup and the uncertainty of what this offense is going to look like with a quarterback under center. It's like, all right, we got a couple of new pieces that makes it tough to be able just to prognosticate moving forward in this week. Yeah. How high is too high for him? Because I could put him ahead of a bunch of these struggling running backs that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it was so hard for me to be able to rank him. I could have him inside my top 20. I could also have him outside my top 25 if I still felt like I needed to hang tight with some of those guys.
It's funny how like when guys lose momentum from like their priors, in the case of Chase Brown, like a top 8 running back to like a borderline top 20 running back, whereas a guy gains momentum from like, RB40 to like RB22, it's almost like you have to start Cam Skattebo over Chase Brown. Like that's where your brain goes to because it's like one.
How quickly do you buy into an ascension before you give up on a descension? That's like you're trying to thread the needle.
And
there.
I think that in fantasy, we're prone to pick the guy who might continue to do what he has done as opposed to buck trends, right? So
Correct.
I think if people have that dilemma, I wouldn't be surprised if many are choosing Skattebo over Chase Brown. Do you know, Mike? Maybe you know. Do you know how many snaps Devin Singletary played after Tyler and Tracy went down?
I don't remember the number. Off the top of my head. I did look it up, but I don't have enough stuff.
You are good for nothing.
Yeah.
Is it 0?
He was
No. He played.
He played a bit. I don't know what it was.
Look, I think that is a question that I do have, as sometimes how a coach handles a game when an injury takes place during the game versus how a coach handles the game with a week of preparation can be different. So I am optimistic on Cam Skattebo. He's RB23 for me.
23, you say?
23.
Okay, so I've got him at 25. Mike, do you know where you've got
He's at 20.
20? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm at 20. I'm a little higher. Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised, though, if like fourth touch of the game is Devin Singletary's. It might frustrate us. And there's zero value to me in Singletary in your lineup. The value in Singletary is what he takes away, if at all, from Skattebo.
Yeah, I think, and based on what we've seen from Skattebo the last 2 weeks, I think he'll be busy enough. That he'll be.
Oh, yeah,
that's
totally.
why I'm a little higher than you guys. I think if I had him, I'd be hard pressed to probably bench him this week. I think I'd find a way to get him into his lineup. But like I said, you have so many options in that range. You might have, there's teams out there that are struggling at running back as injuries. There's others that are like, I have 5 starters.
Yeah.
Actually, it might be a good week to go trade hunting this week. Either way, if you have too many or too few.
Totally. I 100%.
I have that issue. I have a league where we have an extra flex, and I have Trey Benson. So I got myself another flex for the rest of the season, or RB2. And I JCM now as a bench option, and I lost Burrow. So I went after and traded Krosky Merritt for Drake May, a guy that had a good starter. So
I want to play in leagues with people like that.
Well, I mean, he's his backup. I mean, May is probably a fringe QB1. JCM for him would be
one of the topics of
a starting option.
Would be Drake May.
Do you know, just to be able to put a pin on this, do you know in which quarter Tyrone Tracy got hurt, give or take? First quarter.
After 13 snaps.
Okay. So just for what it's worth, in the second half, he played 8 snaps in the second half combined,
Singletary,
1 carry for 4 yards. He played 14 total snaps after Tyrone Tracy got hurt.
Yeah, so it's going to be mostly the Skattebo.
Of course, yeah.
All right, Fields, you're up next.
The next player is one that I'm going to venture a guess all three of us brought to the table under different circumstances. I don't think it would be that complicated. I think the answer would be great to have you back. Get warmed up on the bench, and hopefully in 2 or 3 weeks we are playing you. But that's not the case anymore. Chris Godwin's on my list here. Bucs wide receiver who sounds like he's going to play on Sunday. The Bucs play the Jets. The Bucs play the Eagles in a big NFC matchup.
Yep.
I think I saw the real feels going to be like 110 degrees in Tampa, by the way, on Sunday.
Yikes.
It's Chris Godwin's
That's t-shirt weather for you, Field.
presumptive debut of the season, but Mike Evans is going to miss multiple games. It was reported yesterday. We can talk about that. Let's use this as like a jumping off point.
That's great.
Talk about all of the Bucs receivers. Emeka Ibuka's banged up. He played 57% of the snaps last week, did Ibuka. The Bucs kind of need Jalen McMillan, right? Like, I mean, they kind of, jeez, that was terrible. The Bucs kind of need Chris Godwin this weekend.
Well, both of them.
I would.
And McMillan as well.
I thought you meant
McMillan's
that
still
because
out.
that's true. I mean, they could use,
he's out.
I mean,
so like, prepare to like learn to speak, Sterling Shepard right now. He's going to have like 8 targets this Sunday.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. So under different circumstances, I would just say bypass Chris Godwin this week. I'll have him as wide receiver 52 or something. Because of the situation, he moved a little bit up for me. I still have real hesitation using Chris Godwin on Sunday.
Me too.
Though.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm hoping we get a report on this. And you almost took word for word at like what I wrote in the playbook about Chris Godwin, which is like without Mike Evans and without Jalen McMillan and, Ibuka's obviously a lineup block. But for Godwin, in theory, he has a path to a major role. However, probably going to be limited in his return. So I'd be hesitant to put him in my line. That's almost exactly what I wrote, or it is what I wrote in the playbook. So I'm with you.
And on top of that, it does like start the conversation about a really interesting thing that probably won't be a reality for maybe a month until now. But let's assume that Mike Evans comes back within a month. Chris Godwin's warmed up within a month.
Yep.
What does it mean for the value of all three of these guys? Emeka Ibuka and Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Can all three of them hold value a la the Chargers wide receivers right now, or not.
I'm glad you said this because what I was just thinking about was that it's been a perfect storm for Ibuka's fantasy value,
100%.
like his path to targets. Like we talked about when he was drafted. Okay, it might be
Loser.
a year. Like,
Fantasy loser.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to take a little time. Like maybe he's great in 2026, but this year it's going to be inconsistent.
Yeah.
You know, we were like, we need Godwin maybe to not start the season and then maybe another injury. And that's exactly what has happened for him so far. I think that what's tricky about this is that I think what's the expression? Like the genie's out of the bottle. Like
Yeah.
the cat's out of the bag. Like he is not going anywhere. He's not going away. He's either going to continue to be a fantasy starter or he's going to be really annoying for Godwin and Mike Evans. So I think what's going to happen is Chris Godwin, it's probably going to take him a little while to ramp up, but at some point should get over 20% of the targets and be a fantasy starter. He's just too good. If he's his old self, he was wide receiver 2 last year. Mike Evans, I think, is going to take a hit in terms of overall targets when he comes back. I think he might fall short of 20 and just be hit for touchdowns here or there, but kind of be like first month of last season Mike Evans, where it's like not as good.
Yeah.
And then Ibuka, I think, is going to have a role as well. He's just not going to go anywhere. They're just not going to throw to the tight ends at all, which they haven't already this season, much like the Chargers.
Yep.
It is a high-scoring offense. It's going to score a lot of touchdowns. So I think when all is said and done, we're going to be starting all 3 guys.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a little boom bust.
On top of the perfect storm that you mentioned circumstantially for Emeka Ibuka, he's also scored a touchdown in every game this season.
Yes, that's not going to continue, obviously.
He's been
he'll score a lot, though.
amazing, right? But he has 21 targets for 3 games. The profile almost feels like a guy who's getting 12 targets a game right now, and he's awesome. It just maybe there's a touch of regression eventually coming his way.
Does that mean? Can I ask if that's the case? If you think that a touch of regression is coming with Ibuka,
Not yet.
No.
Okay, I was
Maybe
going
in
to
a
say
few weeks.
Yeah,
I think
so
about
you can't do it now because he needs to be their number 1 wide receiver until Evans
everyone's
is back
healthy.
Chris Godwin's healthy, or both.
Look, if he's wide receiver 6 4 weeks from now and Evans is coming back full and Godwin's clearly playing well, I would definitely be shopping around because he might be wide receiver 19 the rest of the season, but not going to be a top 5 or top 10 receiver. So I would definitely monitor that for a month.
Last thing I want to say before we get to Mike's next pick is, did you guys want to add anything to the news about Jackson Dart being named the Giants starter? Like, does it move the needle much for Malik Neighbors for either of you?
No.
I feel more optimistic. I know I obviously it's clear why they made this move. I'm optimistic that if they feel this strongly about it, not only is he starting now, like he won the 2 job initially. It's not like this is a redshirt season. Like they obviously think they have something here. And that gives me hope that that's going to move the needle for this.
Do they think they have something, or do they think they just don't want to put Jameis Winston on the field?
I think they have something.
I mean, they do. First round pick. This is kind of the guy that has a chance to maybe salvage, not just. I don't think the season's going to be salvaged in the wins and losses department. They play the Chargers on Sunday.
It's the eye test. You need to see like the team looks competitive.
Might help keep the GM and head coach's job.
Yes.
Mike, I know you have this incredible document you were showing me before the show. Can you track Malik Neighbors' average depth of target right now?
Is that for what?
So far this season.
So is it? Yeah.
Yeah, because I would bet.
Keep talking. I'll pull it.
Would bet that Malik Neighbors' ADOT is way up this year compared to where it was last season. And the reason why I bring that up, and if the stat proves me wrong, I'll be an idiot. But
you ready?
Yep,
it's almost double last year.
That's
9.5 up to 16.6.
Yeah.
So yards per catch is up from 11 to 15.7. Yards per target's actually up this year, but as you can guess, catch rate 64 down to 50.
Yeah, 50. So one of the things, it's like an old saying with young quarterbacks, you bring them in, you make things comfortable for that player. How do you do that? Some of the easy throws, screens to running backs, maybe some stuff at or near the line of scrimmage from Malik Neighbors would be logical to help Drake. Let's call him Bo and then Drake.
That's amazing.
Jackson Dart. These like unique names from these SEC quarterbacks, or at least in the case of Bo originally. And
is there a little concern that with what you're describing is just the Wan'Dale Robinson role in this offense?
I don't think so. We saw this from Malik Neighbors last year. He was just getting peppered with targets left and right. So I'm actually hoping that Malik Neighbors, even though we saw the upside 2 weeks ago with Russell Wilson, is just a little bit of a steadier sail the rest of the way.
Yeah, that's some PPR leagues. We want more of these, short range, high percentage targets. Yep. And in standard leagues, you kind of like this because I'm glancing at the numbers here.
Yep.
Last year, 50% of his targets were short of the sticks. This year, it's 28%. So everything's just like
insane,
vertical.
right?
Wow.
Yeah, which is good for big plays, but bad for PPR fantasy points.
All right, Mike Clay, you're up next with your second most puzzling guy to
I
rank.
love this one. I feel like last week this is like the week 3 Troy Franklin Award. Okay,
Yeah,
last week
oh
it
my
was
God.
Troy Franklin. This week it's Trey Tucker.
Oh.
And this one's
Ooh,
really
man.
fascinating to me because we have him ranked I have him 38th. I think our consensus is like 41. The guy is 4th in fantasy points at wide receivers right now.
But
So obviously big last week, 145
plus
yards,
points,
3 touchdowns, 9 targets. But here's the thing. I'm looking a little deeper because I'm like, is it just like he had 5 targets the first 2 games and then nothing? But that's not the case. He had a touchdown in week 1.
Yep.
He had 8 targets in week 2.
Yep.
He's played 92% of the snaps.
Yep.
But then last year he played 88% of the snaps and he averaged 7.5 fantasy points per game. Yeah. The only thing I could think of here in terms of optimism is this guy was a third round pick 2 years ago. And it used to be, the role with receivers used to be year 3. Maybe he's turning the corner. Maybe there's something here. They obviously have a better quarterback now.
Yeah. And a great matchup this week.
Yeah, and a great matchup. Most touchdowns, 4th most fantasy points for receivers for the Bears this year. So far this season.
Yeah.
So maybe there's something here. Maybe it's a connection.
Are they just giving up on the 2 rookies that they drafted to be the guys behind Jacoby Myers right now?
Yes.
Yes, I'm Bash for now.
For Bash for sure. And I made this point earlier. Ashton Genty, they're not giving up on, obviously.
Yes, that's not the
offensive line. The offensive line is giving up on Ashton Genty. This is the oldest head coach in NFL history. He was not hired in his own brain to navigate this long runway where, hey, 5 years from now, the Raiders are going to be plucky, right? They cut multiple draft picks down at the cut down, and they cut guys who were so obviously developmental players, right? I'm going on a bit of a tangent here. The Raiders will play who's the best player. That's what they will do, full stop. I thought about him. I added him in a deep league, Mike, and I'm like, man, I might have to start this guy. Worm League, where I have Wan'Dale Robinson and Xavier Worthy. That one, that answer answered itself. That dilemma answered itself last week, and chat was right because Worthy didn't play. But now, Trey Tucker versus Wan'Dale Robinson versus Xavier Worthy, who's going to be limited and feels kind of like Trey Tucker might be the pick here. I'm going to throw that one to chat later on this week as well. But yeah, he's really interesting.
Yeah, it's a tough guy. It's tough to bench the wide receiver for in fantasy. And after he just scored 3 touchdowns. And you're right, he could have 3 for 30 this week. It's happened before, and he'll probably have some duds, but I don't know. They're going to have to throw the ball.
His first catch came in the second quarter last week. I was looking at this yesterday or this morning. Maybe it was his first target too. But to Mike's point, he is tied with Jacoby Myers for most wide receiver snaps played last week. He's an every down player. Yeah. So he's a fascinating one. Daniel, what do you got?
My next one is a big name.
Okay.
He hasn't topped 6 targets so far this year.
Oh, no.
Been held under 3 or fewer catches in back-to-back games.
No, come on. Travis Kelce.
It just doesn't feel like he is startable unless he finds the end zone, and it's Marvin Harrison.
I knew it. Yeah.
I just can't fully quit him yet, though. Yeah. This is the hard part. He's wide receiver 34, taking on the Seahawks this week. There's a part of me, and this is not a stat thing, okay? I'm throwing stats out the window. That can be Mike's job here, all right? If you want to throw stats onto this, you can.
Stats, I got you.
But I just can't quit him yet. We're 3 games into his 2nd season. We had such high expectations for this guy. I still believe in this untapped potential that Marvin Harrison Jr. has. Have we seen it materialize yet? Absolutely not. Yeah. But I also watch him on the field, and I think to myself, he's clearly not 100% there. He's not there mentally.
Well,
he's not
physically. There's no issue.
Physically, he is. Yes, but the idea of him putting it together on the field, I am not ready with the pedigree that he has, the draft day investment that you had in him, the draft day investment the Cardinals had in him. We're only 3 games into season 2. I can't quit him yet, and yet I look at him in my lineup and I say to myself, I don't want to start this guy anymore.
Totally. Why would you want to?
It doesn't feel good unless he gets in the end zone. He's a touchdown-dependent wide receiver at this point. It doesn't feel good. So I've got him as wide receiver 34, even though he's taken on the Seahawks this week. I think this is a situation in which you could easily make. Would you rather play Trey Tucker or Marvin Harrison Jr. this week?
Yeah, I have Harrison a little higher, but only by 3 spots.
That's disgusting.
That one feels,
it's tough. I mean, I hear you. I went to the table for him last week, and it didn't go well. I will say this: if he catches that one pass, he probably scores a 70-yard touchdown, and maybe the conversation's a little different. It probably shouldn't be different, but that's a problem. Performance has been a problem. He's not making plays he needs to be making, and that's a concern for me. So I'm I'm more worried now than I was last week, just because he has to play better football. Like, is this a little Quan Treadwell situation? Like, I mean, is he like? I mean, that was a guy who same thing. I mean, you couldn't listen to anything without hearing about Treadwell on Saturday, about how he was dominating college football and he was the best thing to ever happen, and it was his next superstar and the sure thing, and it didn't work in the pros. And I don't know. It's just, I hope I'm wrong about this.
I like the Kyle Pitts analogy better, Mike. I feel like it's, just hits a little harder, but Treadwell also works.
That would be, Pitts would be better than a better outcome.
I said,
better, yeah.
Years
Although,
before
maybe
Kyle
not.
Pitts.
Maybe not, because Treadwell, we knew pretty quickly, don't start this guy in fantasy. Pitts, we keep flirting with.
This offense still, it's interesting too, because with no James Conner anymore, we're going to have Trey Benson. So the offense is inherently going to look a little bit different.
I don't know.
Right?
Nah,
You don't think so?
I don't know.
I think it looked just.
I think it might look
Trey
more
Benson
efficient.
Disrespect to James Conner. How dare you?
Trey Benson's averaging 6 yards a carry. The guy's got
I mean,
juice. You can see it when he
Fresh
touches the
legs.
ball.
That was that big one. That was that one run too. Was a huge
Oh my
factor
I like
there.
Trey, but I'm more like it'll look like James Conner's offense or whatever.
Yeah,
it will look
Conner's
the
good.
same.
Come on.
He will have, I think, between like the big long run, which kind of skews the data, and the fact that he was playing 35% of the snaps. It's a little harder to stay fresh and explosive when you're playing, 65 or 70%.
Or when you're 30 years old. Maybe having a 23-year-old back there could be a thing.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anyways, do we have any quick honorable mentions you want to get to real fast?
My four were Kyler Murray, Alvin Kamara, DeKalin Metcalf, and Travis Kelce.
I also had Dalton Kincaid, Drake May, Mark Andrews.
And I had Xavier Worthy, because I feel like I'm in a I need to see it before I trust it kind of
Yeah,
situation.
fair.
With
Then you
Xavier.
put him, well, I get wide receiver 40, and
They did say he's going to be limited, though, right? So
they didn't say that. No.
We are
The report,
assuming.
Nate Taylor was sort of saying our new Chiefs reporter, who stated that he is hearing they'll probably limit him in the first game.
Right.
Yep.
So,
Get ready for more Tyquan Thornton. All right, let's dive into Keep, Bench, Cut, a little game we're going to play. And Mike Clay, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, okay.
yeah, fire away.
I'm going to keep. Ready? Sometimes we say cover your ears.
Hold on. I think isn't it? Are you hitting it to us and we get to vote, or are you just picking one keep, one bench, one cut?
Oh,
I don't know.
That's a
What do
great
we-
question. I
did
had
you
three.
interpret?
I just picked mine, but
I
you
did.
guys can
I did
know
a
mine.
keep, a bench, and a cut.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
all
Got
right.
it. Got it. Got it.
So sometimes we say cover your ears.
Yep.
Don't do that this time, because I'm going
Hey!
to say keep Jamison Williams. I'm going to stick with Jamison Williams. Slow start, 8 for 174 and a touchdown so far this season. Had that big game in week 2, but otherwise under 7 fantasy points. Hasn't cleared 5 targets in a game. I know I said don't cover your ears, but I'm saying a lot of
No,
math
that's all right. That's
far.
okay.
13% target share, down from 18% last year. But here's the thing. Here's the positive. His route participation is 96%. So when they're throwing the ball, he is not left the field. That's up from last year. It's a career high. Also,
You said 96%?
96%. So he's always out there. 34% of the air yards as well, which is also a career high. They need to design more plays for him. I feel like there's just been no manufactured plays. Like I don't think he has a receiver screen. If he does, it's like one. They haven't really manufactured touches so far. They did pay him in the offseason, so they're going to utilize him. They're going to find ways to get the ball in his hands. The Browns, by the way, this week it might seem like not a great matchup after they just shut down the Packers to an extent, but they're kind of mid-pack in terms of efficiency, and they've allowed 4 touchdowns to receivers. They've just faced the second fewest attempts so far, so not worried about that. I think Williams is going to have several of those big games, and his target share had a good floor last year. I think there's reason for optimism with him, so I say stay the course with Jamison Williams.
Okay, keeping Jamison Williams. Who you benching? Who you cut?
I am benching. I had 2 benches on my list, so I'll just keep them tight here. Travis Hunter and Calvin Ridley are my 2 benches
Good
here.
call. Yep.
Hunter, I'm curious. Funny enough, this is such a weird thing. We have to keep an eye on the health of Jarian Jones, the corner for the Jags.
Yeah.
Went out last week. Hunter played more on defense. His target share dropped. He only had 6 targets. And then last week, Jones played 1 snap. Hunter was full-time on the perimeter corner and had 3 targets. So he hasn't had a good fantasy game yet. Might play a lot on defense. It's going to depend on the health of Jones. So for now, I'm benching him. Yeah. I'm just not going to start him right now. I'm not going to drop him.
Good defense, by the way, right now.
They are.
Yeah.
There's a part of me, and I don't think that this quantifies, but there's a part of me that wonders if we see more Travis Hunter on defense, could we potentially maybe unlock Brian Thomas Jr. more on offense because we just don't have as many options to get the ball to?
When you're 3 weeks into the season, a lot of things can certainly change, but something that's way too logical, like Travis Hunter playing more defense, meaning better things for Brian Thomas Jr., actually becomes illogical.
Like-
You're like, I don't know. Like, if he can't figure it out through 3 weeks, I don't know why it's going to just change going forward. I certainly hope it will. I'm just not casting too much confidence because I feel like I've been burned for 3 straight weeks.
Yeah.
I also had Calvin Ridley as one of my guys, Mike, but I was told that you got your list in first, so I'll let you give the reasons on Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, the advantages of being efficient.
That's
for
right.
sure. Look, 8 catches on 22 targets so far. He has been shadowed by Pat Surtain and Charvarius Ward. That's tricky. He's only played 3 games. He's been shadowed by 2 of the better corners in the NFL. I'm keeping an eye on Derek Stingley's health this week. If he plays, he will shadow Calvin Ridley most likely. If he doesn't, that opens up some opportunities here for Ridley, makes him more of a viable flex. But ideally, based on this start, Calvin Ridley to my bench.
Ready for a hot take question?
Yes.
If you could choose one Titans wide receiver to roster right now, who would it be?
Calvin Ridley.
How close is it?
I think it's not too close. I think Ridley will get going.
So if I have to pick one, it would probably be Calvin Ridley. But I think that, we've been talking him up, Field. You were on him all throughout the offseason. Like, Alec Iomanner looks like he is building chemistry with Cam Ward in a more significant way than Calvin Ridley. Now, it helps that Calvin Ridley has been shadowed by 2 of the better corners.
No doubt about it.
This might be one of those, like, if you're looking for the reason why he started slow and you maybe want to put in a trade offer for a guy that's not performing, kind of makes sense. But this offense isn't really an offense I'm trying to super invest in right now.
Iomanner is also a really interesting potential flyer in a deeper league just because the Titans traded Jarvis Brownlee yesterday, which, what does that matter? It's just a signal that this team is probably going to tear some stuff down and build around Cam Ward of the new blood. Of course, Iomanner, a fellow drafted rookie this year. I wonder if Calvin Ridley could be a name that pops up as a trade target.
Interesting.
For team. I have no information. I'm using logic here.
Cam Ward, I just heard Field say Cam Ward and Alec Iomanner are going to be the Caleb Williams and Roma Dunze next year in their sophomore season. Is
Honestly,
basically what I heard.
I do kind of think Cam's going to get there once he has better pieces around him. The skill set we've seen so far, pretty nice.
This is the first time I'm hearing Field talk about Iomanner, so I don't know. Is that a new name? I don't. That's your guy. It's your guy. It's a good call.
We cut.
My cut.
Benching.
Look, this one is going to be. You're going to roll your eyes a little bit because he wasn't rostered in a ton of leagues, but this is a guy that I scooped up after a big week 1, and I thought maybe he's a breakout player this year. Cut him loose this week. No, Michael Penix Jr.
Oh,
that was like one of them like end of bench guys. Like maybe look, he had 24 plus fantasy points in back-to-back games. The finale last year, and then week 1 this year, he ran a little bit, a rushing touchdown week 1. Year 2, and you thought, all right, maybe it's happening. It's been a disaster the last 2 weeks. 5.3 points against Minnesota, and then 3.8 against Carolina. I will say this: the Panthers have been really good so far defensively, much better than we thought. So maybe we're kind of sleeping on them as a defense. So maybe Penix just fell into that trap, and then obviously Minnesota, we know, is a really good defense. He was averaging, Penix was almost 260 passing yards a game before the disaster the last 2 weeks, but only 8 rushing yards for the last 2 weeks as well. So when you lose the passing and you're not running, it's a problem. Maybe this week changes my mind. He plays Washington. They just got crushed by Geno and Jordan Love back-to-back 20-plus points. So I don't think he's dead in the water yet, but I think he's safe to cut right now, especially if you want to, I drop him and pick up Jackson Dart.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
I just don't think you have to hold him now.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to give you a handful here. I'll keep it quick. I also started with a Detroit Lion because Sam Laporta is tight end 14 to start the season after we drafted him as a top 5 or 6 tight end.
Yep.
But I'm holding strong here. Lions spread the wealth. Not many teams can score 90 points in 2 games back-to-back. If you have an offense in which they move the ball as well as the Lions do, I'm going to be in on the pieces that are there. This is just part of the thing that happens when you have a team that has so many mouths to feed. You're going to have some down weeks. I'm holding strong, though, on Sam Laporta, especially given the tight end position.
Agreed.
Okay, like it.
I am benching T. Higgins this week.
Okay.
Very definitely not dropping him, but he's averaging 4 targets a game.
Yep.
4 targets a game.
Seems bad.
Jake Browning does not make this offense feel better. I was hoping that last week we would maybe see, especially because they were getting demolished, that we were going to see that like garbage time game script. It just didn't happen in the way that we had thought it was. I get it if you feel like you need to start him because it's like, how do I not start a guy that I drafted as a high-end wide receiver too over some of these guys that are I may have added off of the waiver wire?
And none of us are starting him this week.
By the way, I will say this: Chase and Higgins both had a big game against Denver last year. Chase escaped. Chase was shadowed by Pat Surtain, which I expect to happen again this week, and that could be good news for Higgins.
That was going to be the question.
So
yeah. If you the one silver lining this week could be potentially if he's gonna Jamar Chase is gonna see that Surtain shadow, then maybe T. Higgins can go off. But it just doesn't feel great. Vibes don't feel good right now in Cincy. We need to see this offense do something. Otherwise, right now I am benching T. Higgins and I am cutting Stephon Diggs. Fields, you brought this up. I mean, yesterday I kind of pushed you on this because I think one of our YouTube questions was whether or not you should. I think someone should drop Stephon Diggs for Alec Iomanner. I think was the question from.
It wasn't Iomanner. It was somebody further down the depth chart.
Was it further down?
It was like
Torrey Horton. Was
Torrey
it?
Horton? Yes.
That's who it was. Okay. And I didn't think for Torrey Horton, I don't think that I would drop Stephon Diggs. But then I went through and I looked at a bunch of the numbers. I dove a little deeper, as Mike Clay says.
Okay.
Things just don't feel good for Stephon Diggs. 15 targets through 3 games. No targets in the end zone. Yeah. I'm not sure. Like, I don't think he's the wide receiver one of this offense. I just don't even know what he is.
I think he will. Well, you finish and then we'll respond.
He's got Kayshon Boutte, Mac Hollins, Pop Douglas, and Kyle Williams, and he has started atrociously.
He's also coming off of an ACL, right? Yeah. So I just think this is part of the plan, right? I mean, the Patriots kind of referenced this during the summer, even though he was not on the PUP list to begin training camp. They talked about how it's going to be a build for Stephon Diggs, and when his ACL, by the way, took place week 9 of last year?
Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was middle of the season. So it wasn't like this was a week 1 ACL tear where you think the player has a higher chance of looking like his normal self.
At least we know he's the kind of guy that won't have a problem sitting on the bench, or he'll keep his attitude in check if he's not out there getting snaps or anything like that.
He's an evolving man. He's going to be a dad soon. Maybe he's just
He's already a dad, isn't he?
I don't know. I don't know if he has children besides.
Well, he'll be.
I think he definitely already has children. He will be a new dad now with Cardi B.
I know Trevon Diggs does because he has that adorable son who used to love Prescott back in the day. Okay. So there we go. It's been confirmed by our director Brandy that Steph does have a child. But yeah, anyways, he's gonna be a dad again. I'm fine. I'm not going to come for someone's head if they drop Stephon Diggs for Torrey Horton. I would say in a vacuum, it's I probably lean Diggs over Horton.
I would too. I said that yesterday. Ollie Gordon, I would consider a little bit more. However, if you need to drop somebody, I think
Diggs is droppable.
That's fair. In our FF Now league, he's the last player on my bench is Diggs right now. He's the guy, if I had to drop someone, I would, but I've been afraid to because I'm thinking, what if they're like, all right, week 4, now we're going to expand. We're going to, open things up. Now you get your 8-9 targets. You're a full-time player. But I do think he's been limited so far, and that's the reason I'm holding.
It's going to be tough for him to be able to get that kind of volume when Travion Henderson's going to touch the ball 35 times from here on out. Right, guys? Right?
He would have been a good player for puzzling player to rank this week.
That would have been a good one. All right, Field, give us yours.
So Mike had a player on his cut list that it was like, you should just cut this player. Daniel, I think you had a player that is cuttable if you need to add somebody else. My keep is Bo Nix. It's been a really rough start so far this season. Good. And it's not necessarily that Bo is different in some of the categories that matter. Like he's still running the football a decent amount. He obviously has been throwing the football a lot. Bo was just not playing well. Bo is playing bad football so far. He is missing way too many gigantic opportunities in the passing game. I remember one of the themes of the preseason was the strum beat was like, Sean Payton's talking him up. All the reporters are saying this guy's going to be, this, that, and the other, but improved player. He has not been that so far. He needs to get it going in a hurry. Maybe, just maybe, potential confidence builder on Monday night against a Cincinnati defense that has been better than what it was last year, but is not the same caliber as what this Colts defense now looks like, what the Chargers defense looks like, and even what the Titans defense played like in the first 2 weeks of the season. My bench is Jerry Jeudy, who the targets are fine. 21 targets through 3 games for Jerry Jeudy, but just 10 catches on those 21 targets, yet to find the end zone. The Browns, are not going to be near the end zone all that often, and it seems like the best functionality of their offense right now is the running game through Quinshon Judkins, and a lot of short opportunities for Harold Fannin and David Njoku, even Dylan Sampson all the way back in week 1. So those downfield shots that I think are more effective for Jerry Jeudy are not going to be as likely to hit. My cut, and he is droppable. I am not necessarily going out of my way to drop him, is Keon Coleman. Maybe this is just deja vu all over again, where he's a very talented player who, in best ball, he might have 5 weeks where he's one of your top 2 highest scoring wide receivers. But in the other 12 weeks, he has 3 catches for 29 yards because the Bills throw the ball 35 times a game, and 30 of those don't go in the direction of Keon Coleman, and they get spread around to Dalton Kincaid, and Tyrell Shaver is going to get some, and of course, Khalil Shakir, Jackson Haas will get a touchdown pass. So
Ty Johnson.
James Cook scores all the touchdowns.
Exactly.
He's been awesome so far. Yeah. So,
I think it's Coleman and Matthew Golden, I think, are really similar in that we thought maybe someone can establish themselves as the one, and it just hasn't happened so far. They just continue to rotate. And that's kind of I think we'll talk about him at some point this week, but kind of like the same thing with Dalton Kincaid. He's kind of on a high now, but he may just disappear when they decide to throw a touchdown to Knox or have a big Coleman week, or, whatever it may be. So I'm with you. It's tough to trust any of those guys.
Doesn't feel great right now. All right, those are our keep bench cuts for week 4 field. Why don't we field some concerns right now?
Let's do it. I get to put my interview hat. Who's your favorite interviewer of all time?
James Lipton, inside the actor studio.
There you go. Okay.
All right.
Do you have an answer to that?
Oof, man. I don't know. I don't know if I have a good one right now.
Neither do I. I put you guys on the spot for a kind of obscure.
I had a name literally ready to go.
Well, because you're smart.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thanks.
I'm going to go with James Lipton. No, I'm going to go with what's Sean's last name from Hot Ones? Shoot.
Oh, yeah. Sean. Sean, isn't it just Hot Ones? Didn't he change his name legally to Hot Ones?
Mine is
Sean Evans.
I know mine is Daniel Dopp, the host of the Fantasy Focus
Hey,
well done.
All right.
All right, so I'm going to put my Daniel Dopp hat on here, and I got 5 questions for you guys. I don't need diatribes on this. I want just short
you'll take
and
my
to the
nerdy
point.
stats and you'll like it. All right.
For the near future, because I'm going to take you guys off the hook a little bit here. I don't need rest of season because I think there's a bit of peril when you ask about the rest of the season.
Rest of season's
after
a long
just
time.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? So much can change. But for the near future, call it 2 to 4 weeks, like the Tyrone Tracy dislocated shoulder recovery window.
Okay.
How would you rank the 3 Chargers wide receivers? Not like
first?
wide receiver 22, 28, 31, just like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I do want to give you some quick numbers on this because I think this is interesting. So I'm ranking them 1, 2, 3 in a few categories. Okay, so you start with routes. It's McConkey, Johnson, Allen in that order, and you're like, okay,
so McConkey
interesting.
has the
All
edge.
right,
Yep.
yeah. But then you start to get the routes are usable, but then you start to get to stuff that really matters, right? So targets,
Air
Allen,
yards.
Johnston, McConkey. Air yards, Johnston, Allen, McConkey. End zone targets, Johnson and Allen have 4, McConkey is 0.
Yeah.
That's a problem. So for me, I think that we now have a sample. It's 3 games of basically exactly the same thing. 3 straight games.
Yep.
So for me, Johnston, Allen, McConkey.
Ooh, interesting.
I was going to go Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnston, and then Lad McConkey.
God, it sucks to say this, but I agree with McConkey being number 3. I would go with Keenan as well. We play in PPR scoring, but yeah, man.
Doesn't feel good, man. We drafted him to be a legitimate wide receiver 2 for our squad. He's one of the guys that I thought about when I was doing the rankings.
Yeah.
Hard guy to rank right now because I still have high expectations, but this offense has just looked different than what I think we expected.
And I said this last week. I think all 3 will be startable. So I'm not benching McConkey, except maybe in a 10-team league if you're really in a good spot. Yeah. But it's just because they don't target the running backs or the tight ends at all.
Until last week.
It's almost unheard of. A little bit. Well, a little bit of Gadsden too last week, but nonetheless, the target shares are so low there that I think they can feature 3 guys and keep them at least in the top 30, 35. So he'll have some better days, but again, the way he's being utilized now, it's not enough volume. It's not enough high value targets either.
Okay. I know you don't want a diatribe. I want a monotribe for 1 second,
sure,
if you don't mind.
I don't think mono and die are.
That's not how that works. That's not what it is. Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna try a tribe.
I just want.
Watch tribe.
Understanding with where we're at and where people drafted Lad McConkey.
Yeah.
I got a lot of disappointed. I mean, we're all disappointed fantasy managers if you're rostering Lad McConkey right now. Do you think that through 3 weeks of the season that what you've seen from Quentin Johnston and Keenan Allen is long-term enough that you wouldn't put in a buy low offer for Lad McConkey? Or do you think because he started so poorly, you think it's worth trying to go out and grab him while he's still the number 3 in this offense?
Okay, I have not yet met a player that I wouldn't put a buy low offer into, so I'm the wrong person to ask that question.
You're like, I'd always at least try and see what happens.
But I think, and I know there's a question coming up similar where you're like, I would be more likely to go after this guy and not maybe not bother with this
Let me
guy.
handle the question. Okay, that's all right. I shouldn't have mono-tried. That was my fault. That was my fault, guys.
No, these guys aren't on that list. So I would answer that question. I would say I'm not going out of my way to do it. I think he probably needs an injury. If Johnson or Allen miss time, then it's like, okay.
Yeah, game on.
McConkey might be top 15 again, but that's not the case right now.
All right. If you could buy low.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I just did this.
I gave you the questions yesterday. On 2 of the following 4 players, who would they be? Your 4 options are Ashton Genty, Chase Brown, Brian Thomas Jr., and Drake London.
This one's actually pretty easy for me.
Okay, so you go first then.
Yeah, all right.
For me, it's going to be Drake London and Ashton.
Me too.
Both
All
of
right,
them.
next question.
Yeah.
Okay, so no, I'm actually very fascinated by this. So you start.
Drake London, I think, is just too good. I recognize the struggles with Michael Penix. He is the clear number one pass catcher in that offense. Yeah. I recognize that Darnell Mooney is going to come in and he's going to steal some targets. He's going to make us frustrated on certain weeks. But Drake London is just too good to be able to pass up. I would absolutely buy low on him. And Ashton Genty is just still going to get so much volume. There is nobody else in that backfield. Yeah. And I feel like with the way that he should be utilized, we haven't seen it materialize through the first 3 weeks. But I think that he is going to have better utilization as the season goes on, and hopefully the offensive line gets some things figured out. I just don't think I can walk away from a first-round talent like Ashton Genty and not feel like he's someone I wouldn't want to have on my roster.
Yeah, if someone's panicking, I would try to get Genty 3 receiving yards, though. They got to fix that.
That's brutal.
So do you think it will fix?
He's been on the field for 60% of their pass plays, so I think so. I think that'll improve as they go on. They have to just manufacture throws to him, and I think that they will try to find a way to do that. Also, good matchup against Chicago has been terrible against the pass and the run.
Yes,
so
this
far.
is an opportunity. Yes, it is.
So there's that, and then Drake London. I mean, remember he had 15 targets in week 1, and what I wrote on my paper here is like week 2 and 3 were bad. Are the Panthers and Vikings defenses good? I mean, Minnesota,
Vikings, yes.
Carolina, maybe they've been really good so far. So maybe there's something to that. His target share is down barely from last year. And he's still top 10 in targets and catches among wide receivers, despite as bad as it's been so far. 2 end zone targets. So London's close to a big game. The big question is can Michael Penix do it? And by the way, they have a good matchup this week against Washington, who just that's a team that Trey Tucker just went off on. So I agree with you, Daniel. I think London can still be a wide receiver 1. I think Genty can still be in the RB1 conversation. But Brown, I don't want to invest in an offense that doesn't have Joe Burrow, first of all. And Brian Thomas, that's a hard one. I think he'll be better, but it's tough because it's been really bad so far. Yeah. It just doesn't look good either.
Okay. Where are you at? What would you do?
Drake London for sure. And I don't have a good answer for number 2.
You're the one that came with the question.
What's your thought on Genty?
That's why I asked the question. That's why I'm asking. I'm trying to get some advice here.
Okay.
So you just think Genty's it's not going to be good enough?
I'm just very concerned about the offensive line with Genty. And I got to tell you, the lack of designed passing game utilization is super concerning.
Yeah, really bad.
Chip Kelly, man, some of the comments Chip has made recently too, after week 2, when Genty was off the field a lot more than he was in week 1, Chip was talking about it's a long season. I came from Ohio State where we had
want to manage touches and stuff.
And I'm like, I imagine the Raiders had a lot of conversations before the draft between the coaching and the scouting staff, right? One of the fundamental facts of drafting a running back 6th overall is he's got to be one of your best players right away, and he's got to play a ton, and you have to have an ecosystem that's at all conducive to him being productive. And so far, it feels like this Raiders coaching staff maybe they wanted somebody else, but they're definitely not utilizing him like a guy that they planned for a long time to draft. The draft process is very long. They probably knew Ashton Genty was going to be available at number 6.
It feels like malpractice. You just basically said this, but it feels like malpractice to draft a running back that high, understanding that teams don't draft running backs that high very often.
Yeah.
And then not give him 1 million Sicilian touches.
Yes.
5
million. Yeah.
5 million Sicilian touches.
Yeah.
I will say this. We had really quick. We have seen this, I think maybe with the league moving to 18 weeks, I think teams are more prone to the first month of the season, kind of take it a little easier.
Ease
and
in.
then lean in. I think a good example of that last year is Josh Jacobs, where you saw a lot more of the other backs like Chris Brooks and who's the other one?
The other running back was hurt.
Not Marshawn Lloyd.
It was, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
that was
I'm
Lloyd.
spacing right now. But anyway, they kind of took it a little easier, and then they just really unleashed him in the second half. And, Bijan Robinson's another guy that started slow and kind of got going. So
the Raiders are back. They should be considering ways to get Ashton Genty the ball.
So maybe my point is there's at least a chance that maybe they do just take it easy early in the year and then take the reins off. So,
all right, I got 3 more questions, and we have to spin the wheel as well. Daniel Jones and Drake May currently rank as quarterback 4 and quarterback 6, respectively, on the season. If you could choose one going forward, who would you prefer? A note this week: Daniel Jones draws the Rams. Drake May draws the potentially frisky Panthers.
Yes, so I'll go first. I have May slightly ahead, but this is so funny because I just out of curiosity, I pulled my rest of season projections at the moment. Drake May 247.9, Daniel Jones 247.8.
No way. No way.
That's actually a testament to being a great question.
That's it. Yes.
Thank you. You guys could have said great question when I asked.
Yeah, Jones has
feel
played
better
well.
about
He
myself.
runs first in QBR so far. Maybe could use a little more passing touchdowns, but I'm just a believer in the talent of
Drake plays first in QBR?
No. Daniel Jones.
Oh, okay. I was
Daniel
going to
Jones
say,
is-
whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
May's more mid-pack, but I just believe in the raw talent, and I think especially as Stephon Diggs gets healthier too. I think I think I'm going to give a little edge to May here.
I would give the edge to Daniel Jones for me just because I think that offense is more competent.
Yeah, they definitely.
And I would rather have an offense that I think can move the ball down the field easier, that just puts the quarterback in more positions to score fantasy.
Okay, I'll break the tie with a slight lean towards Daniel Jones. So both of these guys do feel like they have a real shot to
Agreed.
stay as top 10-ish quarterbacks the rest of the way.
Yep.
All right, if Breece Hall, this is question 4, has a huge game on Monday night against that terrible, terrible Dolphins defense, would you consider selling high on Breece Hall after week 4?
Yeah.
Because that would be 2 games of greatness and 2 games of not usable value.
It would be more like selling medium, don't you
Not
think?
if he has a huge game.
If he has a huge game,
game,
I said if he goes for 26 points on Monday night, are you saying, all right, time to strike?
I'm out. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I would agree. I forget where my train of thought was going here, but yeah, I mean, I know where I was going because this, like I just said, that RB2 zone is so massive right now that if he has a huge week and then he's going to be fluctuating back and forth, you got to take advantage while you can.
Let's table that because if he does have a great game on Monday night, maybe we'll talk about this next Wednesday as a follow-up.
Sure.
All right, the last one here is Jim Harbaugh used to talk about chickens being nervous birds, right? So give me your nervous bird player of the week. This is a player that you have ranked as a starter at his position, but makes you really, really nervous.
Yeah, I have a lot of, do you want me to go first?
Yeah,
I have a lot of nuggets here on Chris Olave, who I have all the way up at wide receiver 15. 13, 10, and 14 targets so far this season, but the yardage in those games, 54, 54, and 57. He has 0 touchdowns. He leads all receivers in snaps, routes, and targets. He's second in catches, but 29th in yards so far this season. 4.5 yards per target. He was at 8.5 his first 3 seasons. He's 4th at wide receiver with 4 end zone targets. And this is the fastest offense in the NFL by 3 seconds. So I just told you a lot of numbers. Some are good, some are terrible. And I don't know what to do with this guy right now, but I like to chase the volume, so I'm still ranking him as a wide receiver.
He's like Wan'Dale Robinson, just jumbo size. Like,
yes,
8 catches for 53 yards last week. Unbelievable.
We've already talked about this player, so I'm going to pick a second one. It would be Ladd McConkey for me that I'm most
You have
nervous.
ranked as a starter.
I have Ladd as, I think, wide receiver 28.
Okay, got it.
So he's like a flex play. He's not a wide receiver too, but he's a starter. Yep. But I think for me this week, it would be Javonte Williams. Taking on the Green Bay Packers, just with how good that defense has been, and knowing that the Dallas Cowboys offense just looked awful without CeeDee Lamb. They're going to probably have even a tougher time. Is that going to make things harder on Javonte Williams because they don't have their alpha #1 premier pass catcher? So I like Javonte Williams this year, especially with how it started. But with this matchup and the lack of a priority wide receiver 1 to be able to help keep defenses honest, I'm a little bit more worried this week than I have been in previous.
Let's do it. Let's get to the wheel. Good answers all the way around by you two. I enjoyed that. I liked being able to ask the questions.
This is a good idea by Field. He doesn't have to do anything. He just writes questions and sits back.
That was Christina's idea, our producer. So shout out Christina. And if you guys don't like the questions, too bad.
They were great questions. Okay, I'm just saying we had to do the heavy lifting.
Yeah, right.
We had to process the questions and do the prep. And
I could have not. I could have just asked you them blind.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, here we go. Daniel's going to spin the wheel.
I've got a wheel right here.
Do we have a recap of the points before we
don't need a recap
this?
of them? Here's the thing: the Lions scored 38 points.
Okay, let's take a look at the recap. I don't know why, but you know.
So when you look at Field, who did you have? Just run through your team real quick.
Daniel Jones, Jordan Mason, George Pickens, and Zach Ertz, 64.02 points. So I take the win.
That was good. Mike, who did you have?
I had Justin Herbert, Jalen Warren, who I can't believe only had 13.1, Marvin Harrison Jr., thanks for nothing, and Jake Ferguson had a huge game. So Field got me by about 8 points.
Ferguson carried you. I had Jared Goff, who got 12.6. Jordan Mason, Deebo Samuel, who
he crushed you.
Was
he didn't
terrible.
Have to play a lot in that one.
And Juwan Johnson, who got 11.1. I came in 4 points behind Mike. If you told me that I was going into Monday Night Football and the Lions were going to score 38 points, I'd think I probably got a good chance with Jared Goff. Yes. Unfortunately,
thank you to
it did not
Jahmyr
work
Gibbs
out.
and David Montgomery for scoring lots.
I did text you guys in the group. I will take a Lions win over a start of the week win.
Totally.
So I'm okay with that. All right,
here we go. go.
I'm going to spin this. Whatever I do here, we'll have to pull off on Friday for the show.
Hey, get a wig again. Get a wig
Here
again.
is my punishment. It's
Yeah. Yes.
30 seconds to stand up.
That is amazing.
Oh,
okay, that is
great.
great.
I can't wait.
I can't wait for that. Is that tomorrow or Friday?
That's going to be Friday. I'm going to need a little bit of time to get my
You gotta
material
work on your
together.
material.
friends.
You
All
are
you gotta do is
no,
30 seconds.
You're no Nate Bargatze, so you're gonna have to, take your time to come up with some material.
Gosh, this is going to
Are
be
you going to be a
interesting.
clean comic or are you going to get canceled?
I don't want to get canceled. I do not. We'll see how things work. Probably just going to stick with some political humor. That's going to do it with today's show, my friends. We're going to be back tomorrow to preview Thursday Night Football and the rest of Week 4, Part 1 of our preview. Make sure you come hang out with us. Don't forget to love each other. Be kind to yourself, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.